Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. So if everyone could settle down and get seated. I hope everyone's having a great tournament so far. Beautiful venue. Thank you to Bill and Tara for hosting us here. And so welcome to the 2026 USBGF Awards ceremony. Thank you for being here to celebrate a year of competition, contribution, and community in American Backgammon. I'm Ben Friesen, President and Executive Director of the US Backgammon Federation, and I'll be serving as your Master of Ceremonies this weekend, or this evening anyway. So today we're celebrating a year in backgammon. It was an incredible year. We had 2,175 ABT entries. We had over 1,200 people at those tournaments. We also had over 7,000 entries online in the online tournament system by 760 people. We saw growth at the federation level with USBGF membership growing by 400 members to end the year just shy of 2,500. On the American Backgammon Tour, we saw many old faces, but we also welcomed a fantastic number of new ones. And it hasn't just been growth at the ABT level. New clubs are forming every week across the US, and the excitement that's building from that's remarkable. We're in a very strong position today thanks to years of dedicated leadership, volunteers, organizers, and players. We're stable, growing, and engaged, and that gives us room to look forward with optimism. Before we recognize our award getters, I want to thank many people for helping make it possible. First, the national event and local club organizers and directors, some of whom have been supporting our game since its first boom in popularity back in the 70s. The work that they do is thankless and has laid the groundwork for what we are today. Next, the players. Without your attendance, these events would not be possible. Also, the founding sponsors of the US Backgammon Federation, whose support launched the organization that I am proud to represent today. Next, the USBGF board members. Currently 11 members, the board of directors is made up of a talented and dedicated group of backgammon enthusiasts that not only support backgammon in their own endeavors, but they take even more time to strategize the vision for backgammon at the national level. I also must take a moment to thank the USBGF staff and committee members. The work that they do supports everything from customer service to the rules that we use. These are the people that are working every day to ensure that we have a fun, fair, and friendly competition. Lastly, I do want to thank the 2,578 USBGF members that we have today. Without your support, the future of backgammon would not have such a bright outlook. So, since it would take me an hour to name everyone in those groups that I just said, I want to ask you instead to take a minute, look around the table, thank each other, and accept the praise of each other, because we are what makes this community great. Okay, well, without further ado, let's get into the program. So today we are recognizing players both live and online, and we are starting with the USBGF Online Master Point Leaders, and this will be presented by Rich Munitz. I will give the description here, Rich, so sorry, hold on a second. So our first awards recognize achievement in online competition. USBGF.org provides real-time online play developed in collaboration with qualified directors, allowing players to earn points towards annual and all-time rankings. The online tournament series has become an important entry point for players and a core part of the USBGF's competitive infrastructure. To present the USBGF Online Master Point Leaders, please welcome Rich Munitz, Hall of Fame inductee.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit on the phone book too when I get back to my. But it's good to finally be taller than Ben. So yeah, I'm gonna try and be efficient here because you guys are gonna get a little tired of hearing from me tonight, I think. Ben talked all about the online tournament series. This is a great benefit of membership. Those of you who are live tournament players who have not played in the online tournament series, it's great. So just get involved and you play at your own schedule. So it's like one round. It takes about 2 weeks and you play whenever you can work it in. So it's really easy to do. So anyway, without any further ado, let me recognize the top 10. I'm going to start at the bottom and just read names. What do we have trophies for?
All of them.
All of them. Okay. Okay. So yeah, if you're here, please come up and get your trophy, and if you're not here, then don't do anything. Okay. Number 10, Jason Lee. John Brown, number 9. Dmitry Obakov, number 8. Andrew Taylor, number 7. Kevin Jones, number 6. Number 5, Michael Vazgarichian. You here? Okay. Number 4, Ted Chi. Number 3, Stacy Turner. Number 2, Ilya Guzet. And hopefully somebody is here from this list. Number 1, the 2025 online tournament series point leader, Roberto Litzenberger.
Do you want to hand it to him? What? Do you want to present it to him?
Oh,
say something really fast?
Yeah, let's get...
Sure,
let's
let's
take a picture. Here you go. We can get...
what am I doing here?
I just want to say, for all people that haven't done the online matches and stuff, not only has Ben said now it's a great way to get funds for the USBGF. A lot of a lot of good people. It's great playing matches. No one really acts like a jerk when you're playing, which is a relief, as happens sometimes when people play online. Funny story, right before dinner, I had to play John Brown, who was on this list, and we've been putting it off, and we're like basically overdue. So we played our 7-point match as a 1-point match back and forth, and I forgot to tell him. So I'll text him right now and say that I got here in time to be able to have dinner and do our award. But it's a great way to give funds to the USBGF. I figured it out. For the most of them are free. I mean, there's ones that like you pay a little entry. I do one a lot with these 7-point blitz. You pay $15. And I think at the end you're losing about less than a coffee, like $3.75 is what the USBGF gets. And if you're good, you can make it back and break even. So I figured last year I did pretty good, and it didn't cost me anything. I made money, but I paid, so it's all good. And I just want to thank everyone. I love it, and keep playing Backgammon.
Awesome. Thank you. As you can tell, many of those players like to play online because they don't travel to as many tournaments. I will tell you now, I will be on that list this year, I promise. So, next up, we have the American Backgammon Tour Awards. So the American Backgammon Tour, as all of you know, I'm sure, is a partnership between the USBGF and qualified directors around the country. These sanctioned multi-day events allow players to earn points by placing in competitive fields, and together they form the backbone of high-level tournament play in the U.S. Tonight's ABT Awards recognize achievement across the tour, including the advanced category, one of the most competitive divisions in the system. And so it's my pleasure to give the ABT Awards today. So I'm going to do the same as Rich. I'm going to start from the bottom of the list, and we're going to start with the advanced category. So in 5th place in the advanced category, we have Graham Webb. In 4th place, we have Daniel Bluestone. In 3rd place, we have Jeremy Lai. In 2nd place, my friend Jim Glover. All right, and our advanced ABT winner is Ollie Rende. Ollie Rende? Ollie? Okay. Now for the open top 10. I think many of you are here, so come on up if I call your name, and I'll get you your trophy. In 10th place, with 23.67 points, we had John O'Hagan. In 9th place, with 26.17, Dana Nazarian. In 8th place, with 28.33 points, Robert Virnig. And next we have a familiar name with 30.52 points, Roberto Litzenberger. And in 6th place, with 35.42 points, we have Sean Garber. Fifth place, with 36.65, winning against the 4th place by 0.01, a rounding error, Steve Sharokh. 4th place, with 36.66, Jack Edelson. 3rd place with 37.56, David Winn. And in 2nd place, our runner-up with an impressive 38.37 points, Petko Kostadinov. All right, with the 2nd most points in ABT history for a one-year race, our winner was 75.96 points, Richard Munitz.
No, I'm not going to give a speech now. You'll have to wait.
You were not. Okay, so Next, we have the Lifetime Achievement Award. The Lifetime Achievement Award honors individuals whose impact goes far beyond results. People whose sustained contributions have shaped the game and the community over decades. To present this year's Lifetime Achievement Award, please welcome Justin Knoll.
All right. It's dizzying up here. So this year's Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Bill and Tara. None of us would be here today without them, you know. Their contributions to the backgammon community throughout the years are very well known, from the tournaments that they run to the streaming services that they provide. I don't know where any of us would be without them, to be perfectly honest. I first got my start watching, their streams and then wanting to go to more tournaments because of it. And without them, I don't know where any of us would actually be. They help really grow the game through all of their hard work and dedication. I'm getting a little choked up here. I like them both so much, and I appreciate everything that they do for me and everyone else. And now that I'm crying, I have a list of achievements that are things I didn't even know that they did before I even entered the backgammon community. So they've been playing forever. Bill since the mid-'70s at an engineering company in Houston with many Middle Eastern engineers. And Tara I did this on stream, I'm terrible, I'm sorry. She's been playing since a youth with her father here in San Antonio. They have decades of experience as players, directors, streaming contributors, locally, nationally, and internationally, as we all know. They have years of service to the USBGF and to backgammon. With the USBGF, Tara served as the board, and Tara, you're killing me. I did this with Kara earlier, Tara. Fuck, I'm the worst. Justine, whatever you want. Call me as you will. I won't mind, I promise. So with the USBGF, Tara served the board and served on the board for years. She developed the first online tournament management system, which has subsequently evolved through the work of hers and others as a key USBGF and ABT asset today. She is Primetime Backgammon Magazine, from what I understand. Today's magazine is much the same as she developed in 2013. She was production editor, layout technician, photographer, shipping coordinator, and everything else. She developed and maintained the website, the shop, and played significant membership roles. Bill was president and executive director from late 2013 to early 2017. His significant achievements include the formation of the democratically elected board of directors and the American Backgammon Hall of Fame. Perhaps the most crowning achievement of Bill and Tara are the Texas Backgammon Championship. Stop killing me! And the Gammon Go New Orleans tournament. They conceived and promoted the destination tournament concept that we are enjoying this week here. The Texas Backgammon Championships introduced the first PR competition with the dual tournament in 2013, which I did not know. This is before my time, which is crazy because now there's the UBC and many other things that are all focused on PR. I had no idea you guys started that. Thank you. It makes me feel much better when I lose to see that I have a good PR. It also has been the development ground for their state-of-the-art streaming, which we all love and enjoy. So Bill and Tara are known, Tara. We're getting there slowly but surely. I had no idea I had a speech impediment until this night. They are known as the foremost live streamers of backgammon in the world. From their own tournaments in San Antonio and New Orleans to other American tournaments, Las Vegas, Chicago, Atlanta, Boston, Miami, and everywhere else they are asked to be, which is basically everywhere. The other tournaments around the world, including, of course, the World Championships in Monaco, their world-class streaming in Dubai. I remember I was there for the first year. You guys did it in Dubai. We had streaming from the top of the Burj Khalifa, which was crazy. I have no idea how you pulled everything out of the main tournament room and brought it to the top of the Burj. Security stopped you at the doors and wouldn't even let you in with the equipment until they checked all of your bags. They thought maybe you would do something funny. Who knows? And they set the gold standard, of course, for state-of-the-art streaming. They are international ambassadors of the game of the American backgammon, and we wish to recognize them and thank them for their many contributions and services to backgammon. It is my pleasure to introduce Tara Mendicino and Bill Riles. Tara, one of these days, I promise you, I will get this right. Damn. I will start from the top. Okay, so we wish to recognize and thank them for their many contributions and services to backgammon. It is my pleasure to introduce Tara Mendicino, Bill Riles, and congratulate them for their USBGF Lifetime Achievement Award. Please.
Well, it's interesting. We are so very appreciative of this award and y'all's attendance tonight. You know, it's interesting. Tara and I joke about it, talk about it a little bit. She's one that doesn't like recognition. She doesn't like credit. She doesn't like all of these things. But she said, you know, I'll do it because you want the credit or you want the recognition. And I said, I think I do it because she deserves it. You know, she's far too willing to let credit and acknowledgement and so forth go to others without accepting what rightfully might go to her. So I wanted her up here tonight receiving this award. But we do what we do for the love of the game. And we're very privileged to travel the world doing streaming and commentary and supporting the backgammon community. We're most appreciative for this recognition and award. So I don't want to get into it too much. I mean, it's just so humbling, and I appreciate it. She appreciates it. We thank all of y'all. I want to make one comment because, you know, Richard's going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame tonight, rightfully so, I think. And I just want to make a comment toward him. Since we won't get the opportunity to do so afterwards, I'll take this moment to say, you know, there's so many people contribute so much to backgammon here in the United States, and it's for the love of the game. But many people also, and this isn't cutting anybody, but people, you know, they promote their own interests, they promote their own tournaments, they promote, you know, their skills or lessons or equipment they're promoting and whatever. But, you know, from my perspective, and I've known him a long time, and I've been on the board, and I've been a director, Richard is one of those who's done so much, but he does it selflessly and generously. And I just think he should be appreciated as he is being done tonight for those qualities.
I'll say something really quickly. I want to definitely thank Patty Rubin, who many of you know. If it weren't for Patty, I would have never had any sort of association with U.S. Backgammon Federation, nor the World Championship. It was totally because of Patty and Mochi specifically. So that's where that all started. So very good.
So anyway, thank y'all very much. We very
Thank you, and thank you all for the lovely award.
One more time. The foundation that these two have laid for backgammon is going to live on forever. So thank you. I left my stuff over there. So next up, we have our Legacy Hall of Fame inductee. And to present that, we will have Joe Russell and Art Benjamin will step in. And the inductee, well, I'll leave it to you, Joe.
Tonight, we honor Billy Horan with induction to the Backgammon Hall of Fame. We are pleased to have his partner Heidi and his daughter Dale with us to accept the award. Billy was a legend. He hailed from Woodstock, New York, but he honed his chops at the famous Mayfair Club in New York City. Backgammon was quite different in those days with no bots to tell you what was right and wrong. Players had to figure everything out on their own. Billy was part of a synergistic group of elite players at the Mayfair, which produced 6 or 7 of the top 10 players in the world at that time. Billy was among the best of that group, maybe the best. He had an amazing table presence. He was tall, athletic, movie star handsome, with near shoulder-length blonde hair. He looked like a rock star and acted like a combination of James Bond, Cool Hand Luke, and the Cooler King, for those of you familiar with Steve McQueen's role in The Great Escape. He loved to gamble, play sports, and socialize. He was very charming. He was also very confident. He believed he was the best backgammon player in the world, and he may have been for some period of time. He won the World Cup twice, which was the most prestigious and grueling event at that time, similar to the UBC of today. I had great respect for his play. He played a very pure game and was a wizard with the checkers. I have an anecdote that will shed light on who he was. In 1989, when I won the World Championship, I played him in the 3rd round. I was on a very hot streak, having won 5 master-level events in the previous 18 months. Billy was not impressed. He knew he was the best player in the world. He offered me odds on the match, which I accepted. I would have been a little bit embarrassed to refuse. Good fortune was on my side. After I beat the great Billy Horan, I felt the tournament was mine to win. If I could beat him, I could beat anyone. Billy didn't think it. He was sure of it. He told me whoever beat him usually won the tournament and that he was going to bet on me, which he promptly did. When I reached the round of 16, he bet on me again, And when I reached the final, he offered me a hedge at 6-5 odds on the money for $10,000, which I accepted. I'm not sure who won more money, me for winning the championship or Billy for betting on me. That was Billy. If he believed in something, he went all in. Beyond being super talented, he was very special in many ways, and he was beloved by his friends and family. Now, I have Kent Goulding reached out to a lot of Billy's friends, and several of them wrote, including Kent, things about Billy, which Art and I are going to read you. This was by Steve Zolotow. You're all relaxed, your bellies are full, you're sipping on a cocktail, hoping the speeches won't be long and boring. You may be wondering why you should care about Billy Horan, someone who was a backgammon star before you learned to play, or perhaps even before you were born. If Billy were here, he'd be trying to find someone with whom to gamble, backgammon, poker, pool, or sports betting. If that failed, he'd head to the bar, smoke, drink, and chat with the ladies. Try to imagine the prehistoric days of modern backgammon. Notice I mentioned smoking. It was permitted almost everywhere, bars, gaming rooms, planes, etc. Billy was all in with cigarettes. There were no solvers, there were no good books on the game, no matches were recorded until later. What could you do if you wanted to know the right move in a position? Roll it out numerous times. Try to do basic math without a computer, ask the best players. No one knew, and many had opinions. How should your move change if your opponent had already opened and this is your response? How should it change near the end of a match when you need 1 point and your opponent needs 4? So being gammon was a disaster. We knew the questions, but not the answers. This was the world which Billy entered. He'd come to the Mayfair, a bridge club at the time, with active backgammon gambling, coming down from the Woodstock area where he was a champion softball player and excellent at tennis and golf. He had the look of a rock star and was also a champion picking up women. Initially, he'd come in for the weekend, gambling where there were games and sleeping on the couch in the TV room. He soon was crushing the small stakes games and moved to the city and higher stakes. He had boundless energy, was a fearless gambler, perhaps a little too fearless at times, and a creative player. The Mayfair players, first at bridge, then backgammon, then poker, were among the toughest in the world. They often went to drink at 2 a.m., and discussions of plays and strategies were often quite animated. Everyone got better, including Billy, who was among the best. Okay, Art.
Well, Kent Goulding, who you all know, KG as we love to call him, wished he could be here to speak endlessly about Billy, but instead I will channel my inner KG and read his words. The Mayfair House of Bridge in New York City was the primordial swamp out of which many of the apex backgammon predators of the early 1970s evolved. Doesn't that sound like KG? Among the first of these to come to my attention were Paul McGrill, Mike Sankiewicz, Roger Lowe, and Billy Horan. They'd come out of their lair to play selective tournaments as more and more tournaments appeared. Billy was the last of that group that I actually met and got to know. I vividly remember my first impression. Nobody with an athlete's build who shared Farrah Fawcett's hairdresser and chain smoked could possibly be a backgammon master. Boy, was I wrong. In the early 1980s, I recorded or arranged to have recorded as many matches as I could between players considered at the time to be the best in the game. I then analyzed and published them in serial form with the title Backgammon with the Champions. My 12th and final issue covered 3 5-point matches, including one between Jason Lester and Billy Horan. I chose well. History shows almost every issue highlights at least one, sometimes 2, future Hall of Famers. Coming from chess, where ratings were accurate and respected, I created a rating system and computerized database, eventually getting results of almost every major tournament in the U.S. and many from abroad, including the Monte Carlo World Championships. By July 1996, over 2,600 events had been rated, resulting in over 7,000 rated players worldwide. While ratings were being continuously updated, the full list list was only occasionally published. In January 1985, Bill Roberti topped the list. Billy Horan was 8th, narrowly edging out Paul McGrill. June 1994 showed Neil Kazaros as number 1. July 95 came around, and Billy Horan was number 1, edging Ed O'Loughlin. The last list was published July 1996, where Billy and Ed switched places. Billy had an impressive win-loss record, but he also played extremely well, even by modern standards. In early 1984, I set about organizing and running the first U.S. Invitational Backgammon Championship, with the best players in the country playing on the finest equipment with a qualified monitor sitting quietly and recording every roll and move by hand. Getting an invitation meant you were considered one of the very best in the country, and Billy Horan was among them. Decades later, I transcribed all 8 first-round 19-point matches, and I fed them to XG. 4 of the players scored a PR of 6 or higher. 7 scored in the 5s. 4 were in the 4s. Malcolm Davis, Bill Roberti, Mike Sankowitz, and Roger Lowe. Only 1 player scored below 4, Billy Horan with a 3.35. Yeah. Billy went on to win the World Cup in 1990 and 1994. Sadly, Billy's health issues eventually took its toll. By the early 2000s, traveling and playing the long hours required in tournament backgammon became almost impossible, and he passed in April 2022. Billy Horan was not only a great money player, but by any measure was one of the best tournament backgammon players I've ever known. I watched him play close up for 20 solid years. He easily deserves this long overdue honor. Let's congratulate Billy Horan.
This is from Bill Roberti. I reached out to a number of players who knew Billy during his backgammon career and beyond. When I asked each one for comments or remembrances about Billy's backgammon game, they all responded with 2 things. Their memories were of Billy, but not directly to backgammon. And 2, perhaps they weren't appropriate fare for this occasion. Following are several of them. Billy Horan was the best player of the late 1970s, early 1990s era. When good backgammon programs became available, we were able to score recorded matches from that time, and Billy's PR was consistently in the high 3s to low 5s. Other good players of that period could occasionally touch those numbers, but no one was anywhere near as consistent as Billy. Billy knocked me out of the finals of Athens in 1994 and a couple of World Cups besides. Not fond memories for me, but it forced me to study the few recorded matches we had of Billy and try to capture some of his ability and put the checkers where they were supposed to go. Oh, his cube handling was superlative too. He was a great player and a great guy, and the backgammon world will be a little poor for his absence. Tommy Harrison was an up-and-coming backgammon player from Potomac, Maryland, who ended up living in New York and working in the bond market for several years. He lived on Pearl Street upstairs from an apartment occupied by Paul McGrill, Eric Seidel, and Billy Horan. He became good friends with all of them. Tommy recounts being in New York for a job interview before actually living there and going out with Billy to have a few drinks the night before. Somewhere around 2 a.m., the subject of golf came up. Billy was a superb athlete and had been playing semi-pro softball. He fancied himself both a good golfer and tennis player. Tommy was several years Billy's junior, but at least matched him in both athleticism and rock star hair. Golf, scoffed Tommy, I bet I could beat you playing the entire round with just one club. Tommy, in fact, very likely could. He was borderline PGA material. Billy was having none of it. Forget the job interview, let's play. They found themselves at the airport catching the 6 a.m. shuttle to Washington, D.C., from there to Tommy's mother's luxurious home in Potomac. Tommy's mother was almost impossibly young and looked and acted younger than her age. She was a nationally ranked bridge champion and superb teacher. She also kept a regular multi-generational party going with plenty of rooms for overnight guests, a big pool and ample space for entertaining. Tommy had a regular girlfriend who was pleased to see him home and join the fun. Billy, as best anyone could count, had 7 regular girlfriends, none of whom were in the immediate vicinity. By the end of 3 days, the count went from 7 to 8 to 9, and a dubious 10 if you count the popular legs, who may have had less interest in Billy than he had in her. Highly pleased with themselves and totally exhausted, they headed back to New York, Billy to crash and Tommy to try to revive his job prospects. Who won the golf? Which club did you end up using? I never had to choose a club. We didn't have time for such foolishness. Both Mike Sabatini and Steve Zolotow independently brought up the comment attributed to Paul McGrill talking to Billy. I like to play craps, understand the odds, and I totally expect to lose, but I keep playing anyway. You like to play craps, understand the odds, and totally expect to win. Which of us is crazier? Tommy recalls some colorful backgammon history involving mind control. The eccentric and colorful Baron Vernon Ball won the 1976 World Backgammon Championships and that was then held in the Bahamas. He totally believed and attributed his victory to Silva mind control. He believed he concentrated the right way he could cause the dice to produce the exact numbers he needed. He subsequently wrote the book Alpha Backgammon, explaining his beliefs and methods. Tommy's good friend David Leibowitz, a decidedly better player than the Baron, seriously attempted mind control techniques while winning the $128,000 first prize in the 1978 World Amateur Championship. 2 years later, the late Russell Sands, a student of Lebo's, won the World Amateur Championship and believed mind control contributed to his victory. Billy witnessed all this, but he didn't believe in directly controlling dice with your mind. Billy did very much believe in his own power of positive thinking. If he kept a determined positive attitude and deep down believed he was going to win, he would. It very well may have contributed to success at the highest levels of backgammon, poker, and even craps. Sandy Lebetkin, one of the most colorful and talented players in the 1980s, recalls a special semi-invitational tournament in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. As a side event, there was a private blackjack tournament. A fun time was had by all. Billy strutted his stuff at the craps table. He was confident, boisterous, betting as big as he could, likely above what he could afford. The value of money was somewhat ill-defined in Billy world, and winning. He'd call out some long shot bet for the table maximum and promptly roll the required number. Sandy witnessed the show, including when the casino manager stopped the game and politely banned Billy from further play. They didn't accuse him of any wrongdoing. They weren't quite sure what was going on, but they wanted no part of it. Billy, flushed with piles of chips, was more flattered by his talent being recognized and barred. Anyway, I would like to ask Heidi and Dale to come up and receive the award for Billy. The next honoree for the Backgammon Hall of Fame happens to be someone who won the ABT this year, has already been up here, Rich Munitz. Rich is a world-class backgammon player who's distinguished himself throughout the last 2 decades. Through his service to USBGF, he has devoted tremendous time to serving the backgammon community. He is one of the people most responsible for the organization's success, as he brings skills, intellect, willingness to work hard, and the genial disposition needed. He has proven himself a top-notch director, promoter, teacher, developer through his past directorship in New York City Backgammon Meetup Club. Rich Munitz deserves induction into the USBGF Hall of Fame, not only for his extraordinary accomplishments across the board, but just as much for his outstanding contributions to the backgammon community through his service to the USBGF and his direction of the New York City Backgammon Meetup Club. Few people, if any, have a resume like Rich's, and he deserves to be honored with admission to the U.S. Backgammon Hall of Fame. It's long overdue, may I add. Here are some of Rich's accomplishments. A founder of the USBGF, a founding director of the USBGF, and tied for the longest-serving member on the organization's board of directors, serving all but 1 year since 2009. Member of the USBGF's Rules and Ethics Committee and Ratings and Stats Committee. Developed the USBGF's master point system and the points calculation software. Developed the ABT Points formula used for Swiss and round-robin tournaments and for handling very large tournaments. Wrote the USBGF tournament rules that were ratified by the members in 2017 and are now the standard rule set for the ABT. Wrote the USBGF tournament ruling guide. Responsible for the successful unification of the rules of tournament backgammon worldwide. Co-author of the Unified Rules. Author, Primetime Magazine recurring column, What's the Ruling? Diplomat, peacemaker, fostered good working relationships between the USBGF directors and players through adopting good governance practices and collaboration on rules and other policies. Developed USBGF online tournament system, software, website used to manage tournaments, track live brackets, and calculate stats for the USBGF online tournament series and the ABT. Recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award. Some of his backgammon playing achievements are Giants of Backgammon, top 32, 2007, 9, 11, top 64, 2019. Winner of the American Backgammon Tour 3 times, 2006, 18, and 25. One of only 3 players to have won 3 times. Placed second in ABT in 2007 and third in 2010. Total ABT points 417.04, ranks 4th all time. Total AB tournaments won 12. Highest ABT ELO rating through 2021 with at least 50 matches played. As I said, he's won 12 AB tournaments, including 3 this year, and the Gammon Go in New Orleans, LA Open, and the Cherry Blossom. Had an amazing number of points this year, 70 some odd points. It was one of the highest totals ever recorded to win the ABT. To say a few more things, we'd like to invite up Roy Pascar.
Rich, congratulations. I think there's probably not a person in this room that has heard me talk more than they would have liked, so I will keep this very brief. Where is the note? Well, I had 4 bullet points, and I can't find them in my notes. I was literally just looking at, oh, wait, here they are. Here they are. Okay. In case you didn't know, Rich likes beer. Something very important to know about him. I literally just as Art was starting his share of the speech about Billy Horan, I'm like, oh, I have a great idea. Run downstairs and grab him a couple of IPAs. That will make his night. And so I did. I figured he would enjoy them. He prefers IPAs, high quality. Don't be giving him any crappy beer. He's a kind of beer snob, but it's. Yeah, I've had many great beers with him over the years. Enjoy. One of the bullet points is pretty simple. He's just one hell of a backgammon player. It's not always about playing with the best PR. This game we love. Yeah, we want to play great, but we want to win when we play backgammon, and he does that a lot. As Joe pointed out, 3-time champion in 2025 in the 3 of the biggest tournaments of the year. They weren't small events. All of them were huge events. And 12 wins in total over the years, plus many other Masters events and such. And this is his 3rd ABT title. He won his first in 2006, his 2nd in 2018, and his 3rd championship this year. An amazing accomplishment. It shows you how great he is. As one of the other points you made is his tireless devotion to the technology that he helps produce that helps us maintain the ABT and run events. Myself, Ben, a few other directors, he's leaned on us heavily to provide feedback to continuously improve the systems. Where it is today, the OTS that we used, where it is today versus where it was when he first put it out, it's not the same system. He's taken so much feedback that we've given him and how we use the event, the software for our tournaments to manage the tournaments. It's just astronomical. The number of the feedback that we've given him, his ability to take that feedback and improve the system and make it more user friendly is just fantastic. And thank you very much for that specifically. I appreciate you listening to us and taking our feedback and making it better for us. Thank you. The last thing I'm actually going to build upon on what something Bill Riles said earlier when he remarked about you and your personality and who you are as a person. I'm going to reference something to when I was a child. I grew up Jewish, and I lived on a Jewish camp that was also a weekend retreat center. And at one of our Bible study, kind of Torah study weekends, we were put into groups and asked to define different words, Jewish words. The one my group was asked to define was the word mensch. I don't know if you know this, but mensch is a Yiddish word. I'm guessing many have heard it, but you may not know exactly what it is. And I don't know if this is what we came up with as our 6-person group came up with it as the definition for a mensch. It's someone that does the right thing because it's the right thing to do and for no other reason. And that's Rich Munitz. And back to you, sir.
Now with a few more words, Ben Friesen.
Okay. Well, everything I wrote has already been said, but many people know about Rich's contributions to backgammon. What some of you may not have known until now is that he is just one of the hardest working and most passionate people I know. He has an incredible career outside of backgammon. He helped raise a couple of great kids, one of which helps him program the online tournament system every day. And he has beer knowledge that could rival just about anyone in America. So I started working with Rich kind of closely in my first term as a board member. We'd crossed paths before that, but I just, basically said, "Hey, Rich, I have a rules question. I don't want to look it up. So what's the answer?" and he would do that for me. But I didn't really know him yet as a person, as a player, anything. So then the USBGF did launch the current iteration of the online tournament system. And at the time, we were using an excellent system that was developed by Tara, but it needed an overhaul. We didn't have credit cards, we didn't have recurring payments. There were plenty of things we wanted. And as it turned out, Rich had already noticed that too, and he had already been coding it. He was ready to, he knew he needed it. He started working on it in his spare time. I don't know where he gets this spare time from. I think he might own a time machine. I'm not really sure. But when the OTS launched, I had a few enhancement ideas, we'll say, and I was extremely good at breaking it. I was running a lot of the online events and as well as live events. I can't count how many times I called Rich and said, I broke it. I don't know what I did. And it was always me being clever. I was trying to do this when it wasn't programmed to do that. And he would help me. He would jump on, okay, we'll fix it. And then he would quietly in the background code it so that I couldn't do it again because that's what he knew I would. So, now that system it's one of the most important tools that we have. I mean, for a director, when they're running a tournament and they don't know how many people are going to show up and 3 more people walk in the morning of the tournament, I used to have to consider turning them away because my brackets were built out for the exact number of players that I had, or maybe within 1 or 2. And so now, you can walk in 1 minute before registration. Please don't do that, but you could. And we can get you in there, and the system will just generate a bracket for us, and we're off to the races. So, and he is pretty good at playing backgammon. It sounded like Rory was trying to say he's not very good. I mean, I know you're a GM, but he's like a 5 or less. Like, that's amazing. It sure sounded like it, Rory. Rory says, he knows how to win, but PR's not everything. A 5? I wish I could play a 5. And this run he had last year was awesome. It turned out he won literally 3 of the biggest tournaments. One of them being Cherry Blossom, which was awesome. That's my tournament. I was able to give him a beautiful trophy, a little bit of self-promotion, right, Rory? Anyway, beyond all of that, beyond the coding, the competitive results, he's just an extraordinary asset to the backgammon community as a board member, as a visionary. He's somebody who constantly puts emotion aside. He evaluates the issues with the mission front and center. I mean, I'll ask him a question sometimes, and he'll go, well, what does that have to do with us? I'm like, well, I'm taking something personal, or I want to do something. And he's like, that's got nothing to do with us. Like, just don't worry about it. Let's work on the mission. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. So it's really great to have his guidance. And it's not just me. I mean, he's been there for every president, every board helping. And so, it's great. The other thing I'll mention, he does consistently contribute to Primetime, and that magazine is one of the coolest things that we do, and he's makes more time for that somehow. So Rich is incredibly deserving of this Hall of Fame induction. Backgammon's really deeply grateful for everything he's done, and knowing Rich for everything he's still going to do. So Rich, why don't you tell us something that we don't know? Come on up.
I'll get back to it, Rory. Thank you, by the way. You know how to really grease the wheels here. And thanks to everyone for coming. So I decided that I should not write a speech ahead of time and just sit here reading from it because, that would be boring. So I'm going to kind of speak from the heart with a bunch of bullets, and that would be a different way to bore you all. So you've heard that I have been involved with writing rules and all that sort of stuff, and so one of the things about writing rules is that it's very important to speak in be able to speak in clear and unambiguous terms. And it's a skill with the English language. I am, however, a great fan of baseball, and one of my heroes as a fan of the New York Yankees is a guy named Yogi Berra. And Yogi, he had a way with the English language, and serves as inspiration to me because he sort of is the perfect counterexample of what not to say if you're trying to, have clear and unambiguous language. So as Yogi was being honored one night, he said something to the crowd when he first got up that I think, was something I'd like to repeat to you. Thank you all for making this day necessary. So backgammon, like I've been asked, how did you get into backgammon? Where did you come from? I think I'd like to give a little bit of my personal story about how this came about. So backgammon for me, I don't know how else to say it. It was a calling, and I don't mean that in the terms of, somebody went off and played backgammon and they just loved the game and, I'd like to do more of that. And, it's sort of, they took off in that direction. I mean, spooky kind of calling. When I was a young kid, maybe, 9 or 10 years old, I was an only child. I got taken shopping with my parents. And, I didn't want to walk around with them in the store, so I'd drift off to the games section. And, I'm sort of walking along, looking at all the games, and I see this game. It's got all these colored points, and, it was like in a cardboard box that looked like one of those cardboard checker sets. And I basically would not let my parents leave the store without buying this for me. And I remember it was $1.99. And I just won't say threw a tantrum, but they didn't know what hit them. Like, what the heck is this kid doing? Because I remember my mother very clearly saying, maybe we should get it for him. He's never done this before. And I did not know that the game of backgammon existed at that time. I never heard of it. I never played it, never saw anybody play it, but something reached out to me out of that shelf and said, it like possessed me. And I had to have that game. I had to learn it. And I didn't know why. So yeah, backgammon did call to me. And it was, really, I guess, a life-changing thing at that point in time. Who knew, right? But yeah, and then I kind of became possessed and, played a lot and we tried to, get better. And then finally, in the late 70s, I got myself a personal computer, an Apple II. And there was some really awful game of backgammon that you could get for that thing. And so all of a sudden, I had a captive partner to play with. It sucked. It absolutely sucked. This was way before XG, way before any of the bots. It was horrible, but it would play with me and not complain. And that's what I needed. So I was just playing a lot. And so I got myself a board, and I went off to college. And surprisingly, everybody in the dorm played. This was in the early 80s. Wow, everybody's there. And I suddenly discovered, you know what, I'm pretty good apparently, because I beat all these kids in the college dorm. So I must know what I'm doing. And so this was great. And, I'd sort of be able to earn money to pay for my, late night snacks or whatever. So I was really liking this game. And one day, somebody said, hey, you want to play? And I'd never played him before. And it was like, what the heck just happened to me? This guy was doing things I had never seen before. I think he just sort of steered me into a back game or something like this. And I didn't know what was going on, but it became very clear to me, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Because he was showing me things I had never seen before. And, it became clear that I had a lot to learn. And as Yogi Berra would have said about this kind of situation, I made too many wrong mistakes. So, I graduated and started working and kind of didn't have anyone to play with anymore. And so this kind of went for about 10 years. And then one day, I sort of wound up at a new job, and they had this OS2 computer on my desk. And I discovered, wow, on this computer is a program called TD-Gammon. And this was like the very first neural net bot. And I played a few games with it. I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. I ought to, I ought to see about this. But you know what? I didn't have one of those computers at home, and I can't play at work. So that kind of went nowhere. But, then along came Jellyfish, and now I was starting again. And so I started to learn the game a little bit, and finally one day discovered tournaments. And I said, you know what, let's, it would be fun. Let me go to Las Vegas and maybe, play in a tournament. So I went, I played intermediate, and, didn't do that well. But this is when I discovered the amazing backgammon community that existed, and the people that were there, and the great players. And I remember sitting around, and I loved the fact that you could walk up to like any table and watch some of the greatest players in the world, and that just really just appealed to me. And I remember watching some final, like it was like Knack Ballard and Wilcox Snellings, and it was like, oh my goodness, these people are incredible. They're showing me things I've never seen before, and it sort of just continued to build the fire of that. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot I can still discover about this game, and it's something that I think is, I hate to say the word unique, but the ability to see the greatest in the world right in front of you when you're in the same room with them, that's just fantastic. And as Yogi Berra might have commented about that kind of situation, you can observe a lot by watching. And so I started to get involved with a club near me. It was in New Jersey, and director by the name of Ron Whitney, who I think might have co-directed some ABT back in the day. But I really enjoyed playing there, and I found myself getting better and starting to win a lot. And I really didn't I started to do better and better, and then kind of Snowy came out. And I was all like, I never took lessons. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of stuff. I played a lot. I analyzed. I really felt that my game was improving. But I really, at some point in time, I had no idea how good I was. Like all of a sudden, I knew I was doing better and better against the computer, but I did not know where I stood against, all the people out there. And so one day at the club, Ron says, he's like, you really ought to be playing tournaments. He says, I know a lot of these guys out there, and I think you're just as good as any of them. Like, why aren't you out there competing? And so I said, okay, well, I guess, maybe I should give it a try. So I sort of went back to tournaments, and this was 2006. And, 2006 happens to be the year I won the ABT. So I sort of seemingly crawled out from under a rock. Nobody knew who I was, and just kind of, won 3 tournaments that year. But it was kind of funny how it started that year, because the first tournament I played in was in Pittsburgh. And I had managed to make it to the semifinals and had to play this guy who, I knew his name, he had no idea who I was, a guy named Malcolm Davis. And, so I have a phenomenal match with Malcolm. And unfortunately, he got the better of me, so I finished, in the semis. But after the match, I'll never forget it, because Malcolm is, he's like one of the kindest guys, he was, but, just such a gentleman. And I can hear his voice, his deep Texas voice, and he says something along the lines to me. He's like, well, Richard, I think you've got a pretty good game there, and you need to keep playing, because you're going to win one of these tournaments soon enough. And, I guess it was prescient, because the next tournament I showed up to was Michigan, and won the tournament. I remember being paired up with Neil first round, anti-bye, first round, I get Neil Kazaros. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, it's good showing up. But, I managed to pull that one off. And then, it was sort of like Joe was saying, well, gee, I beat Billy Horan. I feel like I ought to go all the way. And, so I made the undefeated finals, like, great. And I had to play a guy named Peter Kalba. And we got to a score in that match of 2-away. And, well, as some of you might guess, I forgot to turn the cube. And so there I am in the undefeated finals, forget to turn the cube, and get to, whatever, Neely Gin, and I'm like, oh, crap. And so double them out, and go on to lose the match from there. And so I had to claw myself all the way back through the second chance, beat Peter twice again in the finals, because it's pure double elimination, and won the tournament. And that was the first of 3 on my way to winning that ABT. So it was like, what an experience. But I did come away from that Michigan tournament after that mistake, saying, that will never happen again. And so, of course, fast forward to the LA Open this year. I'm playing Steve Sachs in the final, and, we get to two-way, and, game is over, and, I'm like, why is Steve not reaching his hand out? I forgot to turn the cube. But let's not say I didn't learn anything from the first experience, because when I said it would never happen again, it didn't. And that is because I actually didn't lose the match. I won the match. So, I'll never make that same mistake twice. I went through this period there from 2006 to 2000, maybe 10, 11, something like that, where I literally, the speech earlier about the mind control, like you get into this zone where you sometimes feel, you can just call your numbers. Like, you can do whatever you want. You're just in that zone winning. And there is nothing like it, believe me. It's just phenomenal. But it's not really human. Like, this is not like, well, gee, I'm just that good, I can just win all these matches. You're getting a little help along the way. But it's like ride the wave, enjoy it while you can, and all good things must come to an end, and it did. I went through a period after that for maybe about 4 years, maybe, 2012 through 2015, where nothing went right. Like, nothing at all went right. And, backgammon, we all know, is incredibly swingy. It's just the nature of the game, and it's just the way it is. So you're going to have your moments of brilliance and then your moments of seeming stupidity. And, I've gone through both, and, it ain't fun. People were saying, what's happening to you? You in a slump, what's going on here? And, to circle back to what Yogi said once when asked that same question, he said, I ain't in no slump, I just ain't hitting. And in my case, not hitting, not coming off the bar, all that stuff, but it just wasn't happening. I didn't feel like I had become stupid all of a sudden, but just plain it wasn't happening. Anyway, sometime around 2009 or 2008, I started going to this club in New York, the New York City Meetup Club, and it was organized and run by a guy named Rod Kovlin. Some of you recognize that name? Yeah, so, Rod was a friendly enough guy, and said, you don't know who I am, but I know who you are. And, you ought to help me organize this club. We can use, people may know you, they'll come, you can teach, all that business. And so I said, oh, okay, I'm coming anyway, why not? So I did that. And then about a year later, he approached me, he approached Lynn Ehrlich, and he says, you know what I want to do? I want to create a company that is going to do grassroots development of backgammon in like New York City. Help grow the game, so on. He's like, would you like to be on the board of directors? And now I'm like, okay, well, what's this guy sucking me into? Like, do I really want to do this? This sounds like it's going to be work. I want to play, but do I want to get into this whole service business? And you know what? I think back to, one of those things that, Yogi Berra said once, when you come to a fork in the road, take it, right? And so this was like that fork in the road, right? Like, do I go off in that direction that I hadn't even thought of? And so I agreed. And, that corporation that he founded later became the existing company that is now the U.S. Backgammon Federation. Who knew, right? Never saw that coming. But when everybody started getting organized, and it's like, oh, let's organize a, association for the players, Rod kind of raises his hand and he says, well, I've already got a company. I've already got money in it. Let's just use it. And so, well, he was already the president of that thing, so that's how he became the first president of the USBGF, because he was already in the job, so to speak. But yeah, like that's how I landed in the USBGF. I mean, it was just plain, nothing I planned, nothing I sort of ever saw myself winding up doing, but these strange currents of life just sort of carry you into places you never expect. So that's how I got started. When I got the Lifetime Achievement Award a few years ago, I made a long speech. I covered a lot of ground. I talked about my whole experiences with rules. I talked about a lot of stuff related to building all the online tournament system software. I don't want to repeat all that. You guys have already heard that speech. As Yogi Berra would have said, if I did that again, it's like deja vu all over again. So not going to go there. Anyway, the 2025 ABT, I sort of didn't talk about that earlier, but I could say a few words now. I mean, that was just such a ridiculous year for me. Again, it's just absolutely crazy. No human being should ever expect, no matter how good they are, to show up at 10 tournaments and win 3 of them. It's just not something that should happen. So I was kind of blessed. It was just, a little bit of a freak thing to win so much. And I was asked by a few people, well, how did you do it? And, I'd like to think it was a combination of things, but, as I think, Yogi Berra would describe this situation when he was asked about winning baseball, he said, good pitching beats good hitting, and vice versa. And, I think really I could say the same thing for backgammon, is that, good playing beats good rolling, and vice versa. So, and so finally, where do I go from here? I mean, I'm going to keep going. I expect that my service is going to continue. Hopefully I'll retire at some point. I'll get to study the game again. Maybe I'll actually get good, not just win a lot. Those currents of life will continue to drive me wherever they happen to go. And, I'll leave you with the final thought of Yogi: it ain't over till it's over.
I don't know where they're.
Ben, did you want to say something?
Oh, that's okay. I mean, congrats.
Thank you.
Let me say one thing first. I'd like. Or mine. Okay. Did you get this on? This one's on. I'd like to thank Art and Rory and Ben, and especially Justine Newell.
Thanks, everybody. Play does start, if you're in the tournament, play does start in like 12 minutes. So don't get me in trouble with Bill. Get back there. Thanks for coming.